Hey, what's up guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. In this video, I've got an update about the power outage situation in the upper Northeast. Quite an unprecedented situation going on, courtesy of this storm right here that you're looking at. As it went past Florida, Denise S. from Palm Coast, Florida, shared this photo with me of Isaias as it went near Florida but never really made landfall. They got maybe an inch or two of rain here or there. This is one of the outer bands, and as it was approaching the southern tip of Florida, the skies turned kind of a purplish pink, very photogenic. Didn't make landfall in Florida, did make a landfall up in South Carolina, and then things began to accelerate, especially with regard to power outages and flooding in some areas. We're going to come back to that here in just a moment, but first we're here at the website looking at the Schumann resonance and the Yellowstone supervolcano like we always do. Schumann showing some activity. It's been quiet for the last several days in a row, and now you can see there are spikes in the Schumann. More than likely, that can be traced back to the Earth-facing coronal hole. That's what I would think that's causing that right there, at least now. If it continues on, more than likely not the coronal hole, but I think that's what it is for now. Hopping over to the Yellowstone supervolcano Caldera, another day at the office, really. More action as activity continues to roll across the caldera, north-south, east and west. Seems more active up here in the northwestern region. A lot of magma intrusion and several small quakes here and there. And you go to Old Faithful where you would think there would be activity, which there is constantly, and it's quiet. So a lot of action, unusual activity at the Yellowstone supervolcano. Now to the power outages. This was comparable to Superstorm Sandy, and in some areas worse when with regard to power outages. This is now day 2 of the power outages, and these men and women are doing the very best that they can. They're trying to restore power to over 3 million customers that were without electricity. That's not counting individual people that are living in these dwellings. There's probably some dwellings that have 4-5 people that live there. So there were several million people affected by these widespread power outages that occurred in multiple states. This is the most densely populated area of the United States. My friend Craig from New Jersey sent me an update about the power outages, and New Jersey was hit exceptionally hard. You're looking at a map of all of the counties in New Jersey, and you can see every single county was affected to some degree by power outages. Right now, there's still over 500,000 people without electricity in New Jersey. Up in New York, 500,000. Connecticut, which there were more power outages with hurricane, or actually tropical storm by the time it got up there, Isaias in Connecticut, than there were with Superstorm Sandy. So we're still looking at nearly 2 million customers without electricity. And my friend Craig sent me an article from OC Scanner. I'm going to take you to that website here in a minute where you can read it in its entirety. It's an update on the storm, and it says JCP and L. Cruz are continuing to work around the clock to safely restore customers affected by Tropical Storm Isaias. We currently expect that the majority of customers will be restored by 11 p.m. on August 11th. That's another 5 days, and it's already been nearly 2 days without electricity. So you're looking at, in total, a week without electricity, potentially. I'm going to go to the article and you guys can check it out. They seem to stay right on top of all of this stuff. An additional 3,300 workers will arrive tomorrow. That would be today and tomorrow, joining nearly 4,000 resources already in the restoration effort. These workers will be based out of one of the 5 staging sites located near the hardest hit areas. Staging sites act as restoration headquarters, giving workers a place to eat, refuel, and stock up on material. They do updates here at ocscanner.news. And I'll post the link to that down below in the description box. I've also got some more pictures I want to share with you guys out of Pennsylvania, which was also hit very hard by power outages. Most of theirs are back on right now. Looking at 45,000 customers without electricity. I've got some photos and video out of Pennsylvania I want to share with you guys here in just a second, sent in by Janice, who was affected, like Craig out of New Jersey, by the power outages. But I'm getting word that the water here in the Chesapeake Bay is rising, and is rising fast, and more than likely it will be, because this area saw somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 inches of rain in places. The water is draining into the Chesapeake Bay, so it's got to have somewhere to go, so water will probably continue to rise in these areas for the next several days until the water drains off of the land and gets back down to some sense of normalcy, because everything was very heavily saturated. That's what brought the trees down, the combination of the saturated soil and the winds. But here's a big tree sent in by Janice V out of Dublin, Pennsylvania, who saw many trees come down on power lines, and this is normally what causes the power outages, trees on power lines, like you see right here. Big tall tree. That's probably a 50-footer, very old tree. At the time Janice sent me this, she had been without electricity for 20 hours. Hopefully hers is restored, but still over 1 million, almost 2 million people or customers without electricity. This is her backyard that turned into a temporary river as Isaias went through the area, spawning many tornadoes. There were over 100 reports of tornadoes associated with this storm, covering 12 states. And a tornado went through Pennsylvania, taking the roof off of that home there. Photos sent in by Janice. Another look at the river, the temporary river in her backyard. Said she had never seen anything like it. Here's another big tree, Dublin, Pennsylvania, that was blown over, or at least part of it was blown over, turned into a big parachute where it was able to catch a lot of wind, and then that ended up breaking the tree. Here's a car pile up. And this is a tropical storm, mind you. This wasn't even a hurricane when it did this. And this was like after it had been on land for nearly 24 hours. Got cars piled up on top of each other in Dublin, Pennsylvania. Just unbelievable. And here's a look at Janice's backyard that, like she said, had never seen before, turned into a river. And this is a lot of that water, the same type of events going on around in the Maryland area, where water has got to go somewhere. So it's draining and water levels are rising in these big reservoirs. This was during the storm. I think at the time she had no electricity. Stepped outside and took a video of the water in her backyard. Probably, 5 or 6 inches back there? I mean, this was one big tropical storm. And we still have close to 2 million customers without electricity. So once again, you can find updates to the storm right here. I'll post a link down below in the description box. If you guys are new viewers, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click on this bell. That way you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. If you're current subscribers, double check. Make sure you're still subscribed and make sure that bell is still activated. If you guys have any photos of the storm you'd like to share, you can send those to reports at MrMBB333.com. All of the photos end up here at the Sky Phenomena Photo Gallery, and sometimes I'll use them in a picture slideshow, just like you saw right here. Thanks for watching. Have a super day, and be safe out there.